Hello, and welcome to Balance and Bottom Lines with Rebecca. Today's episode is all about alcohol. Joining us today is Heather Bennett Watkins. Heather is the owner of Your Authentic Fitness. Welcome, Heather.
Hi.
I'm sure today's topic is going to cause some controversy. I want to first start by saying I believe that life is about balance, whatever that means for you. We're all different. Balance is different for every one of us. I personally haven't had a drink in several years, and there's many reasons why, and I'm sure we'll get into that today. I honestly don't know when the last time was. So I know that may sound bad, but it's been a long time. Maybe that's a good thing. I have spent the last several years working on my hormonal health and focusing on overall well-being. So ultimately, that is the reason why I stopped drinking alcohol. But I do want to kind of kick back and I'll start us off and just talk about, for my younger years, because I used to drink, it was more of a social thing. I never really had a taste for alcohol. Frankly, I didn't really like it. If it wasn't a sugary drink, I didn't have a taste for it. So thankfully, because not all people are that way, some people have a craving and a strong taste for alcohol, but I did not. So it's a social, fun thing. Just kind of let loose, have a good time, being out with friends. And then as I got older, I got heavily involved in fitness. And when I got into that fitness lifestyle, honestly, I didn't want to drink my calories. I started focusing more on the nutrition piece. The working out came easy to me at the time. It was more of the nutrition that really I needed to fine tune that to get the results that I was looking for. So the alcohol was a major piece of that. So cutting that out, and it just kind of sticked. It's stuck really my whole life, but now for other reasons. But also to talk back, my grandfather on both sides were alcoholics. So I had seen things growing up and knew that I had an addictive personality. Thankfully, I guess my addictions are more of positive things than they are negative, but they can turn into negative things, over exercising, under eating, things of that nature. So positive things can also turn into negative. But I saw that growing up, just different behaviors, things that, I didn't want for my family. I didn't want, because it's easy to fall into that trap. Life is hard, right? Life is super, super hard. And so we all have those days, it'd be easy to turn to the bottle. We're turned to other drugs of choice. I mean, it just is, life is hard. So I saw a lot of that growing up and I just didn't want that path. And then I also have a very close family member, a sibling, who at a very young age, actually age of 12, had started drinking. And none of us knew at the time the level of this alcohol intake, but we are several years apart. So I'm older. I'm the oldest of my mom's children. And my mom asked me to get a blanket out of the closet. And so I go in my sister's room and I'm up there grabbing blankets. And all of a sudden, these liquor bottles start falling down on me. It's the vodka, multiple bottles. We're not just talking about a little bit, quite a few bottles. And of course, this young girl was a child at the time. So I had to go and say something to my mom, and it put a damper on our relationship for many, many, many years, more than 10. I honestly, off the top of my head, can't tell you. We are finally on really good terms, and that person is thriving, thankfully, by the grace of God, because there was several times when we didn't think that person was going to make it. So it was really hard. And it's not something easy to pull back from, because alcoholism, we don't have the same fathers. I don't have the same father as any of my sisters. But her dad, her grandfather, so she had it on both sides. So it's just a double whammy for her, alcoholism, and it's something that she will continue to battle every single day for the rest of her life. But when I, quote unquote, told on her, even though I didn't, I had to go to the adult. I had to go to our mother and say, hey, I just found this. Can you come here? We need to get some help. We didn't talk for years. And frankly, she closed the door and she hated me for a very, very long time. So, alcohol's been in my family. Heather, I don't know what your experience, just to kind of, or if you have a story similar to share, how it started for you, but that was my beginning experiences with alcohol.
Yeah. Like you, everything started out socially, really. I do have some of that same history in my family, but it never was like, as far as grandfathers. I know my one grandfather, he would say that, but it never felt like it was a problem. He just always have a drink at the end of the night, like a beer, or he would have beers, but you could never noticed any change. But that's just kind of like back in those days. I say those days. That's just kind of how it was, like for men, I think, and that was accepted. Like they went to work and then they came home and had drinks, and some of them, it didn't go real good, and other people can handle their liquor, and they seem normal, but who really knows if they were normal, or if their spouse, if their relationships were normal. We'll never know that. So as a young adult, yes, there was all kinds of social. I worked at a restaurant, so I don't know if you know that culture, but pretty much, everyone gets off work. We work long days, and sometimes it could be short, but the work is hard, and you had cash money on your hands, and when you're done, you're wide awake and everyone's ready to go out. So we would go out and hung out with big groups and would hang out, and that's what we do. And eventually, after so many years of that, you start growing up, and it's like not the thing you really want to do anymore. The older you get, the more you start to feel it. And like you, I got more serious about working out, but I still would do some of those things and be just fine. But as I got older, speaking from someone that's closer to 50 now, like when I was in my 40s and late 30s, you really start to feel those things, and it just simply isn't worth it. Like it wasn't the calories for me, it's the way I feel. Like I don't want to feel like that the next day. It's such a temporary thing. You feel really good for a half an hour, maybe a little bit longer, and then just ruin your next day. Ruin it, because it's either, at the very least, you're going to be tired and run down feeling. At the worst, you're going to feel a lot more than that and not even feel like doing anything. From my perspective, I'm like, I don't even know how people do. Like I don't see how anyone seriously ties one on anymore, because I do socially drink occasionally. I will go out with friends. I'll have 2 drinks, and that'll be about it. And then space it out with some water and go home. And even with that, especially getting closer, going perimenopause, it truly affects that. And you would be hot at night, waking up, just not getting good sleep. It's just more and more, the older I get, the more it's simply just not worth it in so many ways. In the way I feel, in the way I perform at the gym, and the things that I want to do in the next day. And I don't know about you, but do you notice there's been, there's like 2 camps still. There's the party camp that you see online, and then there's a lot of women. There's a lot of women that are our age and maybe a little bit younger and a little bit older that are talking about how, drinking's not all it's cracked up to be. There's a lot more people talking about staying sober, the benefits of it, the health benefits, and how much better you feel. And I think that's great that more people are talking about it. Like you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I have seen that quite a bit on social media. I believe dry January, or they'll do dry months. Yeah. So I've seen that frequently, and it is, um, I am friends with people that are more my age. I do have a good mix. There's older and younger, but quite the majority is probably somewhere around my age. And there's quite a few females, and it's a lot of the middle-aged females that are saying exactly what you just said, and they're doing, dry Januaries and how much better they felt, and they may have lost a few pounds, etc. Sleep better, just so many different things. So absolutely. And another reason, for myself is that I get fixated on labs. And I know that, just because you're supposed to be within these, let's
Yeah.
say it's 8 to 13, for example, I'm just throwing out some numbers off on one lab. And let's say mine is elevated.
Hmm.
Well, I don't like that. And maybe that's my body. So, for example, like my bun creatinine level has been elevated for, there's no kidney problems, like there's nothing going on. But it could lead to things, in the future. So for me, it was always, stay hydrated, drink more. And I would be like, I'm drinking over a gallon of water. Like I can't drink anymore. And the doctors would always drink more, drink more. So for me, one reason, alcohol is a diuretic. So that was another reason why, okay, I don't need to consume any alcohol, or I even watch caffeine intake. I know this episode's not about caffeine, but we're talking about things that are diuretics. So that was another thing, that being uber focused on lab results, I wanted to get mine back down in the range that it was supposed to be in. So working on hydration, doing electrolyte salts, things of that nature. So that was another reason for me to step away or remove or not put the alcohol back into my diet. Um, so hydration is key. I mean, in those nights when you go out and you do party and you wake up hungover, I'm a morning person. That is the worst thing for me. Like,
Yes. Well, and something else I wanted to bring up, and I'm sure you've experienced this. My husband doesn't drink, so that really is great. Because like, even if I do want to drink, like I don't want to sit here on a Saturday and drink by myself. I mean, it's so much easier not to drink when you're around a partner. My husband doesn't drink at all, and it for years killed people. Like we would go out and it would be their entire goal to get him to drink. It was very annoying. Like, just for anyone out here listening, if you have a friend that doesn't drink, it doesn't always mean that they were ever an alcoholic. He was never an alcoholic. Okay. He made a decision. He felt like things weren't going real positive when he was having drinks, and he really wanted a life change. And he made it, it was like more of a conversation with God he had. I'll give it to you straight. And that's something that he decided between him and the Lord. And that's what he did. I didn't choose to do that, but it certainly changed the amount and when I drank. Don't drink at home anymore. I have no reason to. The alcohol that we have in the house is for guests. It's been gifted to us, like typically bottles. Very nice bourbon. I don't even drink that if I was going to drink. But I mean, I just think it's nuts how people just cannot understand. Like, have you had that experience? Like, why, come on, just have a drink. Come on, we're having a drink. Have a drink. It's like, I don't want.
yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. For years, people would be, especially when I got heavy in the working out and the fitness journey. Not that I'm not in a fitness journey now, but in my younger years, and people would just, it was constantly, oh my gosh, you're not going to have a drink. Why? Oh my gosh, you're not having fun. And I'm like, I'm having fun. Like, who are you to, I'm having a good time. We're laughing. And yeah, so I've gotten to the point, it doesn't happen so much now. It used to really bother me. At the time, my husband did drink, and, we'd go out, we'd party. I would be the only one that wasn't drinking. So I'd be the designated driver, which, it didn't bother me. Like, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. And it was a choice that I made years ago, but there was a lot of pressure. And so now I tell people that, and this, take it, if you're listening, take it how you want. But it was my choice just to say it because it gets people off your back. Um, I would tell them I'm a recovering alcoholic. I would tell them I've had problems with alcoholism.
Not that it's
And
funny, but yeah, right. Like you just had to, so people leave you alone.
yeah, because immediately when you said that, oh, like the tone changed. There was no more pressure. They quit harassing you. Every time they would see you, they would not push, hey, have a drink or hey, here's a shot. And so when I did that, I saw that somewhere, some guy many, many years ago. He was like, just, I started telling people when I made the choice not to drink that I was a recovering alcoholic, even though I wasn't. And so it works. I mean, so if you are listening and you are in the same boat, you just, you don't enjoy drinking or it's not your thing and you get pressure, or you're younger and you're listening and you're pressured to drink, just tell them you have issues with alcohol or you're a recovering alcoholic and move on. The question stopped there. So legit. But I mean, your immune system, I mean, chronic alcohol, it weakens the immune system. So you're more susceptible to infections or illness. I mean, there's just your reproductive health. So
You
even,
start to see people the way they look. Really, it really takes you down. It does. Makes
yes,
it ages you. And at this stage, we're trying to look younger. We want to feel younger, look younger. You know, if you need help in that space, quitting alcohol is definitely one of the things to do. Um,
absolutely. Your skin, yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Hydration. I mean, that goes
hydrate.
back to hydration.
It really
Yeah,
does.
absolutely.
I mean, I
But
sometimes think
reproductive.
of it. It's like it's pretty much a poison. I mean, I will still have some drinks. Like I said, socially, I like to go. When we go out to dinner about once a month, I'll have a couple drinks. But I used to never, as a younger person, be like, why would anyone space out drinks with water? Totally get it now. I totally
Oh,
get it
yeah.
now, right? It does make you feel, it helps you feel better. But something else I want to talk about was just, we're in Kentucky and like the whole thing now it's a big bourbon phenomenon. I will say, as a younger person, partying with my restaurant friends, that's what we used to drink. And I'm not trying to take the bourbon industry down, but one thing I feel wholeheartedly for me is as I got older and drank it, I didn't like. I feel like there's different alcohol buzzes, I suppose. And the bourbon one was not one for me. I really enjoyed the taste at the time. I don't know how. It was like everything else. And that's something else. People, if you don't like the taste, why acquire? Just like cigarettes, like people don't like it at first, but then they still do it and then they get addicted. Like, just don't do it. Listen to the older people. But I just found that it was just made me a hateful, angry person sometimes. It just brought out then the just not very nice or sad. It's a depressant. And not
Mhm.
bourbon in particular, but just liquor in general can be very depressing. And it can be one of those things that sneak up on you too, like the next day. Like you get sad about why did I drink? Why did I do that? Or then you have feelings about something you did or said because you weren't your normal self. Just all those things. So, now it's a whole tourism thing here. And I'm like, we do have better things that we could be doing for tourism. Yeah, it's great to go around and see the distilleries, I suppose. I mean, we grew up doing that though. I don't know. I went with my grandpa to Maker's Mark as a young person because that's what I don't know. We take drives and go to distilleries. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. I know we're Kentucky proud with that, and that's great. But at the same time, we can anything besides gambling and drinking that we can shine a light on.
Right.
It's bad to
I
say.
mean,
I mean, it's bad to say, but we gotta put our mark, Rebecca, on Kentucky in some other way. Maybe we're gonna do it. We will. We're gonna do it.
Yeah. I mean,
Help.
you're already doing it. So you're already doing it. You're helping people in so many ways. And, that was a question I was going to ask you. I like what you brought up and I like where that was going. But I also want to ask, when you're working with your clients, is there any conversation about alcohol?
Oh, absolutely. Because my range of clients are in that 35 to 55 range. So most people in that age are starting to feel they're either perimenopausal or on their way towards it, or they've just hit menopause. And alcohol is not your friend during that time. I mean, just going to feel better. And again, nutrition wise, whether it's for calories, whether it's for mental health, because sometimes when your head, really a lot of times, eating, overeating, undereating, a lot of the eating issues are emotionally charged. So alcohol just contributes to that in a negative way. It's true. I mean, you could still do it. I'm not gonna um throw anyone under the bus for doing what they want to do. I mean, but at the same time, you just know these things. Know that your calories are changing, the way you feel will change due to it. Your performance most certainly will change. You're not going to have a great day at the gym. You're not going to do it. If you do cardio is going to feel really hard, but hey, it helps sweat some.
Yeah,
So yes,
exactly.
it definitely has to be talked about. But I'm not shaming anyone who does it. It's a choice, it's a personal choice. Like I said, I still have a drink or two here and there, but I know how it affects me, and it's just more now than ever. It's less and less because I really do think about. We go to the gym just about every day. I might just have an active rest day at the gym and do yoga and do some treadmill walking, but I still want to feel good when I do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you brought up, the mental health issues that can come about and they can creep up on you. And especially, when you are in that menopausal state, you go to the doctor, a lot of times they want to shove your estrogen is declining and things of that nature, and they want to shove an antidepressant on you. And it may be the right thing for you. Okay. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not judging. I've been on things throughout my life. We all have things that we deal with. I've had panic attacks before. So I have very much, quite a bit of experience in that realm. But in those stages when hormones are declining, you may feel a little bit down in the dumps. You may feel some anxiety or some heart
Anxiety,
palpitations.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah. So
anxiety.
yeah. And the
That
alcohol.
the heart, the alcohol impacts the heart big time,
Mhm.
big time.
Yeah. Yeah. And digestive problems. I mean, when that's another piece too, when hormones start to decline, especially I'm going to attack estrogen at the moment, but that is our main female hormone. And when it starts to decline, we can see more intestinal issues, and adding alcohol on top of that. If you do have a digestive issue, and a female and you're listening, or even a male, adding alcohol on top of that can make it 10 times worse. And I don't know if you've ever experienced any gastrointestinal changes as you've gotten older. I know I have. There's foods. I had removed gluten out of my diet. A lot of alcohol has gluten in it. So that's another thing that's intolerant to people. But I had removed gluten and had been gluten free for not because I had an intolerance. My female doctor, she's a uro gynecologist. I was having some inflammation and we were trying to pinpoint, some perimenopausal type things. And she said, just let's pull gluten out and see, how you feel. And so I started feeling better, and I'd been gluten free since February. And yesterday I decided that I was going to have some gluten for lunch. And I got in severe, and I was not gluten intolerant before pulling it out, but I got in severe discomfort last night, and it's
Oh,
still lingering today.
really?
Yeah, so I don't know if from pulling that gluten out for the last 4 months, it's been a little over 4 months now, and then I put it back in. So I decided to have, typically I eat gluten-free pasta all the time. I'll probably have it for dinner tonight, but I had some pasta yesterday out actually at Whole Foods. I was out in Louisville at a networking event, and so I ran into Whole Foods to grab some lunch at the salad bar. It's my favorite thing. And they have like 2 or 3 different type of pastas they usually serve on a salad bar, and I'm like, "Ooh, let me get a little bit of this and a little bit of that." And I knew it even said there on there, it contains wheat. I knew it wasn't gluten-free. I'm like, "Oh, I'll be okay." It never bothered me before. What's one time? And sure enough, so, just little things change as you get older. So alcohol could make a big difference on those gastrointestinal issues that you may have or may not even know you have. So, yeah, just pay close attention to that. And I watch, when I eat things, how do I feel? Did that give me energy? Did it not? Did it weigh me down? Was there any intestinal issues? So I'm really in tune with my body. If you're listening, you may be one of those too. So just next time you do decide to go out with your friends and have a fun evening and you have a drink or two, just monitor how you're feeling and see if you notice anything.
I have some friends that are older. They're like higher 50s, closer to 60s, and they drink. They drink a little heavy, but what they swear by, I think there's some truth to this, is they do higher end alcohols, specifically tequilas and natural mixers like agave, less sugar is what they said. The less sugar you're putting in those with the higher quality premium alcohols are a lot easier on the body for hangovers. So if you still choose a drink, you could try that. Not that I'm promoting it, but they do swear by that.
Oh, that's a good point. I do see, a lot. I don't have any recipes to share with anybody today, but like you mentioned, using, if you are doing, for example, tequila or a vodka and you're mixing in, there's so many, like I like Zevias. So mixing in a Zevia, or there's different, 0 calorie or low calorie sweeteners that you can add. Not that the only sweetener I personally, I know you just mentioned agave, is Zevia, or no, not Zevia. Sorry. I rarely use sweeteners anymore. Like monk fruit.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
the stevia. So stevia and monk fruit. So if I was going to use a sweetener, those are my kind of go-to. They come in little bottles, or the stevia does, or packets. You can get it like Rainbow Blossom or Whole Foods or probably even Kroger nowadays. But put a couple drops in. If I do drink coffee, I may use a couple of those drops. So those are ways, like you said, to eliminate a lot of the sugars and the excess calories that are in those drinks, but still make them taste good. I think I see a lot of recipes with fruit, putting a few raspberries or squeezing lime in there. There's a lot of drinks with tequila and especially lime. So those would be some good alternatives if you are going to drink. So
And we
excellent
did,
point.
yeah, we did mocktails. I attended something and it was during Christmas time and they did a mocktail little thing. And so I made mocktails for holidays for me and my daughter. So we didn't drink. And that's another thing, like holidays and seasons and drinking. Like I grew up in a family, we did not drink on the holidays. And then some people passed away and the bottles came out, which was interesting. Not in a crazy way, but we just never had a drink there. And then someone's bringing liquor there and then we're having drinks. And then I have transitioned back out of that. It's when I go to somebody else's house. And like now when I have the holidays, sometimes I may choose to, but I host. And I found that just hosting and doing that, the day goes by so fast anyway when you're hosting, but it's just easier. Don't do it, because then you've got to clean up. I don't know. And your head's halfway there and halfway not. But mocktails were a cool thing. They're cute. The kids love them. And it's a way to include people and not be like, oh, don't drink that drink. So we've all had mocktails. And I used to not understand the point of mocktails, but now I do, especially when you have children. They can still feel fancy and like they're drinking something special and never even think about having alcohol in it because their mama's not doing it or their family's not doing it. It really comes down to how some traditions are built too, and what you want to lead with. And there's no judgment on whether or not you want to do it or not, but it's just things to think about. You're sitting around drinking. I don't know. There's all kinds of cultures. I noticed like lake life is heavy on drinks. And summertime is heavier on, but really when you think about it, there's all kinds of occasions that you can drink or what.
Every day is an occasion, Heather.
I know. It is. It's truly an occasion. Occasion to get some
Yeah.
muscles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do want to touch on a couple other things. Cognitive decline, sleep disturbances, as not to make this fully about women or middle-aged women, but, you know, brain fog. I don't know if that's something that you've ever experienced, but, after a night, well, you can have what you think's a decent night of sleep, but still have brain fog. I mean, it just starts to happen, but especially, any sleep disturbances. I know for the last several years, I have battled with sleep. I would wake up, I don't feel like I've even slept at all. But yet I may have just woke up from what I know one time throughout the night. So just different issues. And when I did, even if I had a drink, it was, I think the last time might have been a 4th of July party, probably 2 or 3 years ago now. And I had maybe a half of a seltzer. I didn't sleep good that night. And I was like, okay, never again. And that was when I just said cold turkey, I'm done. From this day forward, just no more. So, but yeah, that one night of sleep, because I'm a morning person and because I like to go hard from sun up to sundown, I need my sleep. It is so, so, so important. So important because you just feel it through your body if you don't get a good night's sleep.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, like you said, at this age or really any age, especially anyone, the older you get, the more you want to, the goal for me personally is to build my health bank up. Okay. It's not to compete in a competition. I'm not competing against anyone. I'm not trying to be ripped more than anyone. I want to feel good. I want to feel great. I want to add into the bank so that the older I get, I feel good. I feel like doing things, walking, moving, even if you just don't move. You don't move, you don't use it, you lose it. It's truly, you want to do everything you can to optimize how you're going to feel. And that includes nutrition, and alcohol depletes nutrition. It does. It just does. I mean,
Yeah.
Sleep too, sleep. I hear you on that.
Sleep's a major one. I mean, if your body doesn't rest and you don't do the REM or REM and deep sleep, I mean, those matter. I mean, that's when hormones are produced and that's when our body recovers. And,
Hairs.
if you're not, yeah. And if you're not sleeping good or getting in those sleeps, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to age well. It's just so uber important. And again, this is going to be controversy because everybody has their opinions and I'm not against it. I think 1 or 2 drinks is fine. And I believe, I don't have any statistics, but they say, whomever they is that 1 drink, I believe per day, might be what the statistic is. That sounds high. But I believe it is 1 per day is supposedly safe. Now, I don't know if that matters if you're drinking liquor or you're drinking beer. And I know, I don't know if you've heard this in the past, but red wine, there's all these health benefits and heart benefits. Again, I'm very much, and you too, into health, fitness, wellness, all the things. But it just doesn't serve me enough. It's not a benefit enough for me to have a glass of red wine or to make it a daily thing. So for me, the benefits don't outweigh the way I feel from doing it. So therefore I don't. But
I
yeah.
agree. My great grandmother lived to be 99. She was close to 100. And my family would talk about she would have a glass of wine every evening. But that glass of wine is not the glass of wine that we drink these days. If you look at the little cups that people used to drink out of and little, like, I mean, I would say she probably has a shot of wine, and that's what they attributed that to her longevity in life. But I honestly, like you, I'm not drinking wine to live long. I'm gonna put my money on whole foods, clean foods, because I know there's more science behind that, and I know that personally, gauging the way I feel based on what I drink versus when I eat healthy foods, I have more strength. I feel a lot more better, more better with food.
Yes, absolutely. Well, those of you listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts and experience on these topics. Heather, if you'd like to share with the audience how they can connect with you.
Sure. I am online at www.yourauthenticfitness.com. I specialize in fitness, finding your authentic fitness for ladies 35 and up, or like 35 to 55. Anything from eating better, better nutrition, to finding ways to move your body that work and serve you. Doesn't all have to be cardio. It's really about finding what works for you, and I can help you do that. And you can also find me on Facebook under Heather Bennett Watkins.
Details on how to connect with Heather will be in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more insightful discussions. Thank you for joining us on Balance and Bottom Lines with Rebecca. Remember, the balance between personal well-being and professional success is key. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, keep striving for excellence in both your personal and professional life. Heather, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Rebecca.